Okay, Algebra 1 students, today we're going to look at Unit 1, Lesson 14, which is focused on outliers. These are the extremes in problems, but usually they're known as extremes. They're only known as outliers if they fit a certain situation where they might be just way away from everything else. So our lesson goals are: I can find values that are outliers, investigate their source, and figure out what to do with them. Sometimes we actually take outliers out of the problem based off of how they kind of manipulate the situation. I can tell how an outlier will impact mean, median, IQR, and standard deviation. Of these four things, two of them are impacted a lot by the outliers, and two of them are impacted a little bit less. So we want to know which ones are which. All right, so our review here of vocabulary is outlier, a data value that is unusual in that it differs quite a bit from the other values in the data set. So here I have an example of the 92-93 Chicago Bulls points per game. If you notice, most of the data is over here. There's a little bit here and a little bit here, and then we have Michael Jordan scoring right here, and this one is way away from everything else. This one you can visually tell is an outlier, and then we're going to look at mathematically how we tell that. But you can a lot of times visually see if something is probably an outlier. Then you just use the math to make sure of it. All right, so your warm-up for class tomorrow is we're looking at healthcare spending in 34 countries. So I have two graphs. Here we have a histogram of the spending. Here we have a 5-number summary or a box plot. One value in the set is an outlier. Which is it? So when you look at these graphs, can you pick out where the outlier is? And then I want you to approximate what that value is. So just make an educated guess on what it is. Write that down. By one rule for deciding a value is an outlier if it is more than 1.5 times the IQR greater than Q3 or quartile 3. So if it is 1.5 times further away from Q3 than the IQR. Show whether or not your approximation for number 1, whatever number you estimate here, show that it fits this definition of an outlier. So mathematically, that definition looks like this. You take the Q3 value, so you're going to need that, plus 1.5 times the IQR. So you use that math problem, and if our number is bigger than what you get here, that would be considered an outlier. All right, bring your work to class. We can talk about any mistakes or how good you've done and kind of go from there. Thanks.